I got. Oh, okay.
Well, hello everyone. We're out here in Kalispell, Montana. We're with Randy Weaver, Roger Roots, and myself. We've had the pleasure of meeting Randy today and getting to know him a little bit and sit around some breakfast and talk. But go ahead, Roger here.
Well, we want to just chit-chat about one of the biggest trials in American history, which happened about 25 or 26 years ago in Idaho, Boise, Idaho, federal court. Probably to this day, it will probably go down in history as one of the biggest trials in American history. And we have the focus of the whole trial with us right now. This man suffered, literally the U.S. Marshals murdered his son, and then the FBI. So he was. The government came at him with every branch of government and with all of its resources. Ultimately, Mr. Weaver prevailed in one of the biggest trials in federal history, and we just wanted to sort of chit-chat about it after 25 years.
We're going to recap the case kind of with him. We also got his book. Randy gave me a couple copies here today, and we will try to see if we can get some more copies later or tell you where to buy them at. Could they buy them on Amazon?
No. Just they'd have to order them from me, actually.
Okay.
And that would be 206 Cooper Lane, Kalispell, Montana. Oh, apartment 31, Kalispell, Montana. Just address it to Randy Weaver and I'll get it and order what they want. And through the mail, I charge $20 plus shipping, about $4 in shipping cost. But, and I'll get it to them.
Okay, well, awesome. Well, let's get to the point. I know it's been 26 years this year, hasn't it?
Yep.
26 years. A long time ago now.
Yeah, 92, 25 years, I think, last August.
Last August, wow. So what's the date again for people that don't know the date, the exact, when it kind of started at the standoff area, or what do they call that?
Well, they shot our dog, Stryker, first, and a U.S. Marshal did that. And my boy Sam, who was 14 years old, he was 4'10", weighed 80 pounds, he had a Mini 14, and I was yelling at him. I said, "Get home, kids." Too stiff-necked and hard-headed. He went walking right into it. He said, "You shot Stryker, you SOB." And he fired 2 rounds at the guy's direction, and I figured from the hip. And I was yelling, get home, it's an ambush." And he turned to run for home, and they shot him in the back and killed him. And Kevin was there with him, hiding behind a stump.
Kevin Harris?
Kevin Harris, our friend. He was, at about the same time they shot Sam, one of their men got shot, U.S. Marshal Bill Deegan. He, at the time, was the highest decorated marshal in U.S. Marshal history, which I thought was kind of cool. Got that sucker. And Kevin Harris thought he shot him, but the thing was, they wouldn't admit to this day they couldn't prove that Kevin shot him, and the jury said even if Kevin did shoot him, it was self-defense. However, they did show a bullet hole going through his backpack, and they admitted that was the other U.S. Marshal that actually killed Sam. It was one of his 9mm bullets. And I'm thinking they showed where from his shell casings, Deegan was shooting. He run 20 foot across this direction, right in front of Marshal Cooper, that shot and killed my boy, which they finally admitted 2 years later who killed Sam. We was telling them who killed Sam.
Yeah.
But 2 years later, the local sheriff claimed they found the bullet that killed Sam in a tree on the other side of the road.
Wow.
And
So the other marshal probably was the likely killer of Marshal Deegan then.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was
Friendly fire.
Friendly fire, they call it.
Friendly fire shot the
Real
other
friendly,
marshal.
yeah.
And that's just like in the Waco case. The ATF agents shot their own and then blamed it on the people there.
They will never admit wrongdoing.
We talked a little bit ago, and we went back as far as before this even happened, before they shot Sam, that you found video cameras, that they was already had you under surveillance,
Right.
and so they had snipers, they had video surveilling you days or weeks before.
18 months.
18 months they were surveilling you.
Right. George H.W. Bush was the president at the time, and the word was out that we were an embarrassment to the government, feds, because we wouldn't surrender. They didn't want to come in and get us.
And that all went over gun charges. That's why they was.
I was charged with manufacturing and selling sawed-off shotguns, which is not against the law. It's not against the law to buy, sell, trade, manufacture sawed-off shotguns. You just have to have a $200 permit, which, hell, I was selling them because I needed some money.
Yeah, with the shotgun, what was they under length? Like
Oh,
a lot
yeah,
of people.
way under.
Way
I did it. I did it right. They wanted sawed-off shotguns. I gave them 2 really good guns. He told me $500 he'd pay me for them. He ended up giving me $300, and in between the time he was going to come back and pay me again, I found out an FBI undercover snitch that hung out. He was Butler's main bodyguard. His name, he went by Rico Valentino.
Pastor Richard Butler of Aryan Nations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was his main, and he would always buddy up with me when I go down there and visit. And he's a nice guy. I liked Rico, and even introduced me to his wife and kids, which most snitches won't do that. But she was real nice too. Anyway, Rico said, "Weaver, don't be doing any business with that Magisano. He's a snitch for the ATF." I didn't say anything. I said, "Okay." And I'd already sold him two guns, see. Well, so I didn't get my other $200. He still owes me $200.
After all these years, yeah.
Yeah. I should charge him interest too if I ever see him. I will kill him. I will kill him.
Oh, you don't
So,
mean
so after all these,
Okay, I'll take his word for it.
it's good advice from an attorney here.
You know what? I could give a shit.
You
can believe that.
So after during your case and stuff, you were incarcerated. They kept you locked up for months.
I was total time in jail was 16 months and a week or two out of an 18-month sentence for the failure to appear.
Failure to appear.
And they let me go early for good behavior.
You wasn't no longer a danger after that.
Yeah.
According to them, yeah.
Well, they figured out some of the deputies in there became friends with them.
Yes.
Good guys. There was a couple of dingbats, but you get that in any organization.
But of all the charges they charged you with, they only really found you guilty of one charge.
Right. I was charged with conspiring to overthrow the federal government. Hell, I'm still doing that. But the jury wouldn't believe it.
The way they wouldn't believe it. They found you not guilty on that. And what was the charge they actually found you guilty of?
A failure to appear.
Failure to appear. Not even on the gun charges they didn't even find you guilty
No, that
of.
was entrapment.
That was entrapment.
Yeah.
And
They
didn't they
came
give
to
you the
me, I
wrong?
didn't go to them. Huh?
Didn't they give you the wrong date to
Oh,
show
yeah,
up to court
yeah,
anyways?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was wrong court date. What do they call them? Contact when I'm out on probation. What do they call them?
The probation officer?
Yeah, probation officer.
Yeah.
He sent me a letter saying, "See you in court March 21st or something like that." When actually it was February 21st. So February 21st goes by, a day or two later, there's the news. We always listen to the local FBI station, KBFI, we call it KFBI. And they said, "Randy Weaver failed to show up for trial," and all that. But don't worry, the U.S. Marshals will get their man. They turned it over to the marshals from the HF then. See, I was getting worse. I was getting to really be a bad guy. And that HF agent, he was in charge of the Northwest HF agents, Herb Byerly. What a dingbat he's one of them kids in school that everybody kicked and spit and kicked him when it was in lunch line. He told him I was wanted for bank robberies in Montana, Washington, and Idaho, all kinds of stuff. Why did they throw a murderer to you in hell? That'd make me real bad.
None of these things you'd ever been even charged with. There was no even accusation. This is an informant
If
telling
I
them.
was robbing banks, I wouldn't need to sell the guns to get the money.
So they fabricated. Yeah, that's right. They fabricated a whole bunch of stuff against you, made you look so bad
Oh, yeah.
that then they brought all these
Dangerous.
agents. Yeah,
Dangerous. So when you go in after him, just kill him and get it over with. We
One
don't
of these
know.
informants, you said, brought up even a turkey to you, brought up food to you, was feeding you. I mean,
Yeah, and Blaine said I was going to kidnap Barbara Walters' daughter out of one of those schools where they send bad kids. And I wasn't planning nothing like that, but this guy, he actually had a job there as a security guard, and he was working undercover for the ATF. And but his good friends, him and his wife were really good friends with us. He tried to contact me after I got out of jail. I wouldn't get back with him because I didn't want to talk to him, didn't want to see him. I would have killed him too.
we mentioned earlier that one thing I asked you, and I wanted to ask you this off camera first, but I asked you, would you do this all over again?
Absolutely. If my wife and son was here today, they'd do it again. You know why? Because they're as stiff-necked as I am. We're old. We're pretty much French and German mixture, and I'd have probably made one hell of a Nazi.
This is about freedom. It's about freedom and for everyone. And
Sure.
when they're taking everybody's rights away, and the way they did you is totally wrong by surrounding your property with armed tanks and.
I told my kids, raised them, don't ever lie to your family and friends. Don't ever steal from your family and friends. If they need something, help them out, blah, blah, blah. But I said, now, if you go to court, that's a different story. Your enemy tried to do something to you. I didn't tell them this till after all our court stuff. I should have. But if the enemy will kill you, why not lie to them if you have to?
Well, the government lied in your trial. Some of these same witnesses and informants you said obviously lied during the trial, and they're not held accountable.
There was about 3 or 4 federal agents that told the truth the best they knew it. One was an Indian out of Spokane, Washington. I can't, Thundercloud or Thunderbird, something like that. And he was a pretty decent fella. He didn't get the story totally right, but most of what he told was pretty right on. And there's a couple, 3. The second highest ranking U.S. Marshal, they called him Duke Smith. Duke Smith? I think that's, anyway, he told the truth. Well, he told the truth about the helicopter. They said that I was running around a building trying to get a shot at a helicopter. There was no damn helicopter. If I'd heard a helicopter area, I'd have called the kids and I'd been back in the cabin.
Yeah.
But
That was sort of the excuse. They opened fire and killed, murdered your wife, and they were aiming at Mr. Harris, I believe, and they claimed that it was because that they were in danger of shooting at a helicopter that may have been in the air or something.
No, that's why they shot me, because he said I was trying to get in position to shoot a helicopter, which wasn't there. And this Duke Smith, he admitted, he said, no, he was in their helicopter and they were nowhere in the area. And Jerry Spence, if I'd ever told he ever caught me a lie, he would have left me gone. What I told him, I said I was reaching up to turn the wooden door knob that holds the door to my workshop's what it was, tool shed.
We've got the farm here.
We got a rooster crowing over
I
there.
wish I could get that. Anyway, reaching up, turn the knob, go in. My boy was laying dead on the bed, and I wanted to be with him. Well, I reached up, bam, and it sounded like a guy was standing right behind me. And it went through my shoulders back and out the armpit. And I thought, damn, that hurt. I had Sam's Mini 14. I was holding it in my left hand. And I went down and I thought, they're going to kill me. Next thing I thought, I'm going to turn around and spit in this guy's face before he shoots me again, because it sounded like he was standing right behind me. I turned around and looked and couldn't see nobody nowhere.
You were shot once on the left side.
Right side.
Right side? Oh, right side, yes.
And Sarah yelled, she said, Dad, what happened? And Vicky come out and yelled, what? Vicky come out and yelled, what happened? I said, I've been shot. Sarah come around the shed, grabbed a hold of me, said, come on, Dad, we got to go. I thought, yeah, we better get the hell out of here. So we went running toward the house, and Vicky yelled out, "You bastards!" She said, "What happened?" I said, "I've been shot, Ma." And she yelled that out. She went back on the porch, opened the door, and was holding it. She had Elizabeth in her arms, or a little 10-month-old baby girl, holding her. And she was right out there in the open. They saw her, saw the baby. She goes back, pulled the door and holding it open so we could run in. Sarah's pushing me, and Kevin's right behind her. Boom, 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 all three of us. And just as soon as Kevin was beside my wife, boom, shot through the door, through the window, and went through my wife's face, broke her carotid artery, broke her jaw all over everywhere. And that same, what was left of that bullet went into Kevin's, would have been his left arm, tore a whole bunch of meat out in his bicep, went through his ribs, broke a couple ribs, and lodged near his heart. He laid there in the house for the next 6 or 7 days in bad shape. But his arm would start to swell up, and what did we give him? I can't remember. Cayenne pepper tea. And that will actually take the swelling down and everything.
How old was Kevin at the time? Kevin Harris.
25.
25 years old.
Yeah.
And you had a 10-month-old daughter,
Yeah.
a 9-year-old daughter, and a 16-year-old daughter.
Right, absolutely.
And was the door closed when they shot your wife then?
No, she was holding it open.
She was holding open. She was
Here's the front of the house.
Yes.
Here's the door going open to the north. She was holding it this way, standing here.
inside the house? Just
No,
inside?
right out on the
Right on the
porch.
outside.
Yeah, the door open to the outside.
Okay.
And she was standing there in front of that door. Well, behind it to Haruchi. But he shot through the window. And his 302 file, if you get it, and they're supposed to keep them, he drew a picture of what he saw when he was shooting, and it showed a deal, and there's another smaller one down here. It's like Vicky holding the baby.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then after that, he said he didn't see anything.
But on the 302 report, it says that he, yes.
So they changed their
They
story.
changed their stories.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's
And the trial took place in Boise Federal Court,
Yep.
and with Jerry Spence, one of the biggest, probably one of the finest defense attorneys in American history.
Biggest heart.
And what did you think of Jerry's performance generally?
Jerry actually didn't know a damn thing about the story.
he didn't know nothing about it.
No.
He heard about it through.
Through what we told him and
Yes.
what the feds lied about, and he was figuring out as he went the best he could. But I think it was all set up before it started.
Well, one thing that was interesting, we mentioned Bo Grites, and we mentioned that Bo Grites came up there to your house, and you mentioned something that I didn't even know before, that Bo Grites actually wore a wire to your house
Oh, yeah.
and recorded everything, and he also told you that he already had an attorney lined out for you, kind of that Jerry Spence was going to be your attorney.
Right.
And that wasn't even true.
Right. He lied about that. Jerry just promised to look into the case. And I told Jerry when I first met him, I said, I don't care. You got the reputation, the money, and the time. You'll find out we're telling the truth, they're lying, and you'll take the case. And Jerry Spence, the one thing he likes is the truth. And if I'd have lied to him one time, he would have left. There was one time, they talk about court using different stuff in court, and like the Constitution. Most judges, we're not doing talk Constitution, all this stuff. They won't let you use the Bible either. Talk religion?
Yes.
No. Jerry Spence says, this is unreal, Weaver. He says, you will never see this again in another courtroom. Well, here's this prosecutor, different times through the court, try to use the Bible against me. Well, we had a Bible in there, and back then I could quote scripture a lot better than I can now. I'm losing my mind, But I can't remember all the different things he talked about, but this one time he says, I was raised Quaker. He's talking to the jury, and the Quaker religion, they raise us to, the Bible tells us to love. And these guys over here, he points at us, he says, they're full of hate. And I'm always, when I'm hearing lies, I'm getting mad and showing, looking ornery. And we had a whole passel of lawyers, and they come up, put their hands on me. They was watching me. Weaver, cool it. Your face is too hard. The jury ain't gonna like it. like I really didn't give a, you know what?
That was you and Randy both. I mean, you and Kevin both on trial at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, but this, he goes, these guys are full of hate. And I'm hating, I'm full of hate. And Jerry Spence says, Weaver, you gonna tell me the Bible says we can hate? I'm out of here. I said, give me the Bible, Jerry. And back then, I knew exact scripture. It says to love you always, to hate evil. And I said, what the hell do you see going on in this courtroom? And he high-fived me again. He didn't leave. He didn't go nowhere. There's common sense.
How many weeks did the trial last?
There was 2 months of trial.
2 months.
And 3 weeks of deliberations.
And how long of deliberations?
3 weeks.
3 weeks of deliberation. Wow. And after 3 weeks, they didn't come back hung. The jury didn't. They came back not guilty.
Oh, I thanked him. I was crying. I thanked him for letting Kevin go.
Yes.
Kevin's one of the bravest men I ever met in my damn life.
And they found him not guilty on all charges. And I know that feeling. I've been in some trials when them not guilty. I mean, I can see you're emotional right now over this, and it definitely is. When you get these not guilty verdicts, I mean, it's a miracle.
Oh, yes, it is.
And they sent Kevin home, let him go, and they found you guilty on one charge.
Yeah.
And of course, you guys were both looking at potential life in prison.
Oh, absolutely. They wanted the death penalty to start with, and for some reason, the judge says you can't go for the death penalty.
Wow.
Which, if I would have got found guilty, I would rather have the death penalty. You don't want to spend a long time in jail. That sucks. It's noisy. Prison's full of idiots. Scream and yell and act like a bunch of 2-year-old.
Now, afterward, there were a lot of other cases involved that were sort of related. Of course, the Idaho district attorney attempted to criminally prosecute the FBI sniper, and of course, a lot of us know how that ended up. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, there was a lady attorney that was on our side, and she wanted to hang them guys for what they did. She wanted to get Haruchi on manslaughter, minimum.
Horiuchi was the FBI sniper who murdered Randy's wife.
And his prosecutor wanted to convict this guy.
She was after him.
Yes.
And then they had a election,
Yes.
and the county, that Democratic county, put in this yes man for the county fathers, and he dropped all charges, said now it's too expensive to go after Haruchi. Oh, well.
And another thing about that case that I've researched is where the Idaho Attorney General initially charged Lon Horiuchi of the FBI in state court. The feds reached out and immediately removed the case to federal court, and a federal judge quickly pronounced that Lon Horiuchi was immune, couldn't be prosecuted because he was on the clock as an FBI sniper hero, and ultimately that went up on appeal to the Ninth Circuit in a very, very well-written opinion by, actually was an en banc opinion of the Ninth Circuit. I believe Alex Kaczynski was the lead opinion writer. Of course, some of you might know he's sort of a libertarian judge, and they just booted him off the Ninth Circuit maybe a month ago for allegations of grabbing too many women or whatever. But anyway, he was a great libertarian judge on the Ninth Circuit. He wrote a great opinion.
Yeah, we won't.
And reversed the trial judge, and it went back down, and ultimately the Idaho authorities got permission to prosecute, and as you say, they dropped the ball.
Wow. But one thing I thought was interesting, and maybe we'll take a few questions from the audience in just a minute that are out there, but one question I thought was interesting, you were in prison, you didn't even know about Waco, so this to me it was like two different incidents. I didn't even know the two kind of overlapped, but you said you was in trial when Waco burnt.
Right.
When the government killed all those
like
people.
April 19th.
April 19th.
93. And we started court trial like the 13th of April. And Jerry Spence come in and said, "You hear about Waco?" And I said, "No." "What about Waco?" And he says, "Well, they burnt all those people out down there." And now I'm going to tell you what, I don't like preachers. And that's pretty much what Koresh was. But to go in there and murder all them other people and the little kids, for crying out loud, I wouldn't. If I was in on that deal, I'd have had to kill myself afterwards. I wouldn't have been able to live with my conscience.
So did you follow any of the Bundy trial? Because we've told you a little bit about all the Bundys and everything going on.
Yes,
And you got to meet one of them today, Ken Medenbach.
Yeah, and it was so convoluted and crisscrossed and all this crap. And I knew the Bundys was right and the feds were wrong, which is pretty easy. Most times they are. And I don't know if prayer helps, but you could kind of say I was praying for them. I was really wishing for them. If that's praying, I don't know. But I'm so glad that them fellas come out
Yes.
so far the way they have. Finally, some folks left the country with some common sense. Democrats are so stupid, I can't believe it. I can't, I don't have any Democrat friends.
Is there anyone out there that has a few questions?
I've got 2 questions.
Couple
here.
questions, yeah. What do you?
One gal says she wants to know exactly how you were set up. Were the weapons that you made cut a 1/4 inch too short, or what?
No, I cut them as short as I could. You can cut them without ruining the guns. That's what he wanted, and I did a really good job. In fact, when they were hauling me and Kevin to court for that 3 months' time, I would swear that the guy, what they call riding shotgun, was carrying my 870 Remington pump. It was such a sweet little gun.
But if you had a $200 permit, it was legal anyway.
Right.
You just
if
didn't have to. Yeah.
If I'd had the permit, tax dollars, they call it permits. It's just another tax. They, one of these days they'll charge you a tax to tie your shoes. But
Okay, and somebody wants to know what eventually happened to Lon Horiuchi after his involvement in
well,
Waco.
they sent him to Louisiana for a long time. He was training troops down there how to be good snipers. And I'm sure he's retired now.
And by the way, that HRT, the hostage rescue team of the FBI, was the very team that later murdered Lavoy Finicum in the Oregon case 2 years ago. Same exact team. Probably those FBI snipers were probably trained by Lon Horiuchi.
They were also in Waco,
Yeah.
so they're as involved in all 3 cases.
Dick Rogers, the head of that HRT, and his name fits. He was a real dick. He was at Waco too. See, we were just barely starting court. We was only in a week of court, and it was a total of 2 months. But they figured that if they could stop this Waco thing, they would look real good, because they were looking bad. They knew they were looking bad for our trial. But we need those hostage rescue folks. 'Cause my kids were hostage, and my good friend Kevin was a hostage, and my wife was a hostage, and that's why they was all packing guns ready to shoot them son of a guns.
Yeah. Did you get to see any of the protesters? Could you see them from your house? You just heard about there being protesters.
We listened to KFBI, we call it. The local station was KBFI. We listened to that every day, and they was telling us the good news, the bad news, and the in-between news.
I seen it from a distance. I was at the time I was a young man, about 20 years old,
Yeah.
and so I was seeing it from the outside. Since I didn't go there, so I seen the videos and the pictures of all these protesters along this road, because I was just kind of imagining this abandoned or long dead-end dirt road, and I remember a sign that said "Dead End,"
Yeah.
and I remember people writing on that sign and big protest signs, and
They put a paper sign up that said "Dead Mother and Child."
Yeah, dead mother and child. I remember that clear to this day. There was also a friend that I've met in the last couple years. His name is Steve Struenberger, if I'm pronouncing his last name right. But he was arrested trying to get in to help you, along with some other guys. And I know you've heard a little bit about, but you've never met any of these guys, have you?
Not that I know of.
I'm going to try to make that happen sometime. Steve shows me pictures, and he talks about your case, and him and his friends, they tried to break in or try to sneak in.
wanted to, yeah.
They wanted to.
There were some other ones that wanted to too, but they didn't get caught looking around to find a place to break in.
Steve and them, they got arrested. They got charged. I think there was 5 of them. I'm not if I'm mistaken, not the number, but there was several of these young men that they tried to break in. They got arrested and had to fight their own court case, and ended up getting found not guilty also.
Yeah, the ones I heard about were there's like 4, at least 4, maybe 5 of them, and they were supposedly in a Jeep. Have you ever ridden in a Jeep? That's a crowded Jeep.
Yeah.
With just 4 big boys, let alone 5. And I thought they was really into it. They come clear from Georgia, the ones I heard about, come up there to help. But they got stopped, they got disarmed and hauled down to the county jail. That's where they sat for a while.
Does anyone else have any more questions maybe from that side? If not, what do you have anything else, Roger?
Well, I think this is great to get Randy Weaver talking about this after all these years. Have you had any? Did you ever meet any of the jurors or?
Oh yeah.
After I was found not guilty and all that, some of them come to visit me once in a while, and then after I got out, they had a dinner set up. There was, I don't know, I guess 50 or 60 people there of local supporters, and some of the jury was there. And there was 2 ladies on the jury. Their first name was Dorothy. I won't give the last name, but one was a substitute teacher for dumb people at the college, or she would help, not substitute, but she helped dumb students get through. You know who usually they were, football players. And yeah, and the other lady was an 8th grade teacher from Mountain Home, I believe. 2 Dorothys, and they were just cool people. And I had lunch with them maybe twice. Then I had lunch with the older Dorothy, who taught dumb kids. Several years
so
later.
You've been a Montanan for most of these years afterwards?
I first moved out here in 96. Yeah, 96. I've lived here 3 different times since then. The last time I moved here was in 08. And, yeah.
Did the government try to take your land?
Well, when they first arrested me on the gun charge, took me to Coeur d'Alene, I can't remember that county, but the county jail, held me overnight, and the next day, they kept trying to get me to sign these papers. I said, I ain't signed none until I see an attorney. They said, who's your attorney? I said, I don't have one. Well, the guy said, well, you're gonna, and I was cold. I get cold easy. I was a skinny little guy all my life. And I'm sitting in there in that holding cell, curled up, and the guy, this guy's name was Dick Rogers, the same as the ATF, or the marshal, no, the HRT guy. And he was, you're gonna stand there until you sign papers. I said, I'll die right here. Just leave me alone. Let me die in peace. And I signed the damn papers. Well, about a half hour later, they come and said, okay, you can go to your cell. And they brought me a blanket and stuff. And I didn't sign anything till the next day when they took me to court to see the magistrate. And he said, you sign these papers and you can go home. What this is a property bond, which means that if you lose your case in court, you lose your property. And I'm thinking, I ain't signing that. My wife's back, sign it. I'll go, okay, Ma. I signed it, and away we went. Oh, the ATF boys didn't like it all, or the U.S. Marshals. But
so you got off on a property bond, and that's how you went home. And
yeah, actually, it was ATF then, and when I didn't show up for court, then they turned it over to the U.S. Marshals.
U.S. Marshals, yes.
And lied about me robbing banks and all kinds of stuff. I'm
Well,
really surprised you didn't have me up on murder.
Yes, yeah. Well, thanks again for this little interview and the guests out here and letting them get a little piece of this history.
I would like to say,
Yes.
these folks right here that I met today, a couple of them I know, I've known for a while, Dennis and his wife, Connie. These guys I met today are some of the nicest people, and this has been the most fun day I've had in a long time.
Well, I hope so.
I've enjoyed it, totally enjoyed it. You guys are awesome.
And you met Ken Medenbach today, one of the guys from the refuge.
Oh, yeah, that's my prison buddy.
Yeah, you're your prison buddy. Yeah, you got to talk with him quite a bit. That's pretty neat to see.
I love you
We'll
guys.
get some pictures after a while so we can post them up for people to see.
There's a question.
Yes.
Did the FBI negotiators use Bogue rights to negotiate with you?
Yes.
Could you expound on that?
Well, Bo went up there. I had 3 or 4 different friends contacting Bo. They knew him from the Patriot movement, and they knew he was running for president on one of them off-the-wall tickets. And they contacted him, and they was all asking him to come talk with me and negotiate. And so he was running for president, and he took time off and come up there, and it was for show, but he did talk us into coming out when we did, and it's probably a good thing, and I give him credit for that. But to the lying part, when I caught him lying about stuff, see, he was doing stuff that I refused to do, and that's why my family got half killed.
Yeah.
Half was killed.
Eric Parker, he was one of the ones that went down to Bunkerville for the Bundys.
Uh-huh.
He says the reason he went was because of your case.
Well,
you
you
and
know
your
what?
family.
There's a lot of people in this country that got in a lot of trouble because of our case, and I appreciate them and love them to death. If I was a rich man, I'd help them. You know, people think I got a lot of money out of the government. I got $80,000. My kids each got $800,000, 3 of them, and I had to fight for that. They wanted to give me $80,000 to start, or $100,000, 80 after the lawyers. But and they wanted to give my daughters $250,000. I said, "Are you kidding? You killed their brother and their mother, and you think it's worth?" No, I said they need a jump start in life, a big one. I said they each get $1 million. They went to $500,000, then they went to $2 million. They finally give it to me, and I was thinking later that I probably should have done my case separate from theirs, took it to an Idaho jury, and right after we settled, this federal agent come on TV and said, "Well, we're glad they settled out of court. We're afraid an Idaho jury would give them that $250 million." And Jerry Spence told me, and I was discussing before that, I said, he goes, "That's probably true, Weaver," but he says, 8 years later, after all the appeals, they'll get a liberal judge will come and say, "You don't get anything," and that's what it'll be. And
Yeah.
I said, "You're probably right, Jerry. Give me the 80,000. Let the girls have their 800,000, and I'm happy."
Yes.
I have another question. Do
Wasn't
you have
about money anyway.
Do you have faith in the federal court system in helping resolve issues with government overreach?
That's a pretty good joke.
Only if you got the truth and it's on your side and you can show the truth and prove it, you got a good shot at it.
But they do hide the truth for sure.
But they will try to stop you from testifying the truth if they want to hang you. But Jerry Spence, like I say, you know, he was a hot shot. He didn't like to lose. I said, "You don't like losing, Jerry, but we can win with the truth, and you know that you'll find out they're liars. We're telling the truth, and we'll win."
Did you testify or Kevin testify in the trials? Neither one of you testified.
When the prosecutors give up and said, "We're done," well, Jerry had asked me, he said, "Weaver," he says, "Do you want to go on the stand?" And rebut? I said, I don't think we need to." He said, "You know, I don't either." He said, "They haven't proved anything except that they're a bunch of liars and deceivers."
Yeah.
And so Jerry said, "Nope, we're done."
Did they get to show pictures of your son and your wife in court, or did they hide that from the
I believe
jurors?
they did.
They did.
They
Yeah.
didn't let me see them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another question. Randy, what advice would you give to all the young men who are standing up today?
Keep standing up. As long as you're doing what's right, and I mean that's what's right in Yahweh's laws and in His eyes. If they kill you,
At least you're standing for what's right.
so what? Yeah. The Scripture says lots of us are going to die. We're all going to die eventually, but if you die in the fight, it's counted good for you.
Well, thanks again. I appreciate it, Randy. It's been awesome to sit here with you and Roger.
It's been my pleasure, fellas.
Thank you.
Believe
Again,
me.
here's the book, Ruby Ridge, and I recommend everybody to get it and read the whole story. And thank you for joining us today and this little interview. And thanks again, Randy.
You're welcome.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, guys. It was